So, chosen one, this message is extremely important. The question is why it took a whole army to try to take you out. Why it took a whole army to try to take you out. So before you click away, give me a few moments of your time, because if this message is for a person who has been wondering why life has felt like one battle after the other. Why life felt like, the battles are never ending, right? Maybe you have asked yourself, why has the resistance has been so intense lately? Why did it seem as if like every time I took one step forward, something or someone tries to pull me back, right? If that question has been has ever crossed your mind lately, then I want you to stay with me. So, chosen one, there are seasons in life when the opposition seemed unusually heavy, right? It is not just one difficult conversation, one disappointment, or one obstacle. It felt like challenge after challenge, right? Pain after pain, as though multiple people or circumstances are working against you all at once. They are ganging up on you. You understand? You may have you may have felt like misunderstood. You may have felt misunderstood, overlooked, criticized, rejected, betrayed. You may have watched people doubt your character, question your motives, or celebrate your setbacks. At time, maybe like you probably felt like an entire army had gathered against you, gathered against your name, right? And yet you're still here. You are still standing. You are still breathing. You are still stronger than ever. And that alone says something remarkable about your journey. Throughout the Bible, we see that God's people often faced overwhelming odds. They often faced overwhelming odds. They experienced seasons when situation looked extremely impossible from a human perspective. But those stories reminds us that appearance are not always a full picture. What people see is often a small part of what God is doing behind the scenes. You understand? So, chosen ones, people who underestimated you may have focused only on what was visible. They saw your struggles, but not your perseverance. They noticed your delays, but not your growth. They counted your losses, right? But overlooked the wisdom, the strength, the character that was being formed within you. Sometimes people mistake silence for witness. They mistake patience for defeat. They mistake humility to surrender. But strength isn't always loud. Often, the strongest people are the ones who quietly keep going when no one else sees their effort. Those are the strong people. Understand? So think about like everything that you have survived, everything that you have encountered. The nights when you questioned whether you could keep on going. The mornings when you had to find, the courage to begin again, to try again. The moments when you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness. The times when you refuse to let disappointments define your future. Those moments matters, chosen ones. Those moments, they matter. Every challenge has shaped you, has shaped who you are becoming, has shaped the best version of yourself that you are today. What was meant to discourage you has become the opportunity to grow you stronger. What was intended to slow you down taught you patience. What looked like a setback became preparation for something greater that you never saw at that time. Because faith doesn't promise a life without difficulty. Instead, it reminds us that we don't have to face those difficulties alone. When everything around you seemed uncertain, God remained faithful. When people walked away, God remained present. You understand? When closed doors, when doors closed, God continued opening new paths that you cannot see. Me and you couldn't see with our physical eyes, right? Perhaps, like, that's why you're still standing today. That's why me and you are still standing today. Not because the road was easy, not because every prayer was answered immediately, not because every person treated you fairly, but because God's grace carried you through every season that you never imagined that you will survive. So, chosen one, take a moment to reflect on how far that you have come. There were days that you thought that will break you forever, yet here you are. There were disappointments that felt permanent, yet life continued. There were moments when you believed that hope was gone. All of the hope was gone, but yet somehow the strength returned. And this is worth remembering. This is worth ingraining in your brain. If you have been, like in a difficult season today, don't assume that your story will end here, because some of the greatest, like chapters begin after the hardest battles, right? That often, that is often what happens, right? Continue choosing peace over fear. Continue choosing hope over despair. Continue believing that even when you cannot see the whole picture, the full picture, God is still working behind the scenes, because you don't need to prove your worth to anyone around you. Your value doesn't depend on applause, on popularity, on approval. Your identity, it is found in the one person who created you, which is God. So keep moving forward, keep trusting, keep praying, and keep becoming the person that God intended you to be. And one day you will look back and realize that what has felt like an army against you became the very thing that revealed your resilience and deepen your faith. So if this message encourages you today, let it be your reminder of one simple truth. No matter how overwhelming the opposition may seem, never forget that God is greater than anything that you have encountered. So keep your eyes fixed on Him, remain faithful, and continue moving forward one step at a time. So your story, it is still being written. Trust and believe that your story, it is still being written. And with God, hope. With God, hope is never lost. So I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.